Marco Cabalto!
Alrighty, so here we are with a time-lapse video of the weed killer pickups I did for Player Destruction Farmageddon. I actually was able to use some concept art that was created by a user named Blaholtzen. They do incredible texturing and concept work, so it made this whole thing really easy for me. I basically essentially just traced out the profile here and did some like shaping of it. Bottles are these kind of jugs, I guess, not really bottles. They are kind of strange objects because they're they got soft curves, but they're not like, they're like hard and flat, but also like they got these, bevels everywhere. So the topology for this, because the handle is a bit strange, so that's something I ran into with both of these, particularly this big one here. So basically I just traced out the outline and trying to build the biggest shapes I can. So that's the handle and the base and all that. And then basically I'm just going to try to form it into, more to look more like the reference, I guess. So what I end up doing is I think I tried beveling everything. But I think ultimately I actually go with a subdivision surface modifier, and then I kind of sharpen some of the edges around. Here I'm just insetting this part so it's, distinct. It wraps around so that you can put the label there and it, looks like a label actually belongs there. So I got the basic shape here. It's obviously very blocky, so I do end up going with the subsurf modifier alongside a bevel, it looks like. So actually I recorded all this probably back in April, May, June-ish. So it's been a while since I've actually looked at this footage, so we're kind of experiencing it together for the first time. But yeah, so I'm trying to define those shapes here, and already it's looking, decent with the two modifiers I put on here. Obviously the handle still looks a little off, so I need to, basically with the subsurf modifier, you need to, like, in order to get edges feeling sharp, you have to like add a loop around there. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. Now I'm trying to shape up the handle so it actually matches the profile correctly. And of course working with the mirror modifier so that it's mirrored in half basically. Yeah, so again, just trying to shape up that handle there, because it doesn't have to exactly match the reference here, but we want it to be as close as possible. But there will be some things that are probably a bit different. Here, I don't know why, but I had some hole in my mesh, and I think it was, I didn't have clipping on the mirror modifier, but I just fixed it up real quick. And there's also like a slight taper to the bottle, so it kind of comes in a little bit on the bottom there. So that's what I was doing. So that's the basic form here. So we can see kind of what we're looking at as far as like polygons. Honestly, not too much. I think the final product polygon-wise was around 900, so it's not terrible for a pickup like this. The health pack, the medium health pack, has about the same amount. So just for reference. So here I'm trying to figure out the best way to like model the lid, and I wanted to make it like one mesh instead of just like inserting a cylinder on top, though I think it probably would have been better to just put a cylinder on top, after having worked on this. But I make it work. I mean, it looks decent right now, but I think I actually will come back in with a cylinder to make sure the vertices all like line up correctly. So again, just trying to match the profile of the reference there, getting slight bevels on the edges here, and already it's looking pretty good. So it's pretty close to the final. Yes, I do come in with a cylinder here just to see what it would look like with that cylinder. Though honestly, I don't like how that looked, so I think I do delete it, but I do get the kind of the edge, the shape of the edge there that I wanted. Yeah, and so basically I'm just going to try to make this all into one just one like continuous mesh. There's a tool that supposedly like makes all the vertices equidistant from each other, though I don't think it was working very well for me because I was using the mirror modifier, and I don't know that it is like aware of the mirror modifier, but I make something that's close enough to a like circle that I don't think anyone could tell that this was actually originally like a square. So I think I have to do a little bit of mesh surgery here because something got messed up, it looks like. So yeah, this happens when you don't do everything with edge loops, which you kind of have to do. You can't really do edge loops with like low poly stuff because the poly counts really start stacking up quick. So you got to be very careful about that. But that's basically the big jug there. That's about all there is to it. I think I sent off a couple screenshots, got some feedback, and with this one there was a lot of iteration back and forth between me, Mega Pie Man, and Blaholtzen. So yeah, I don't think this is the final form of it because I know we did work on it some more after I recorded all this, but this is the basic shapes here. So we're doing this jug, the small jug, which is worth 1 point. This one was considerably easier to do because it's basically just a giant cylinder with like indents in it, and then obviously you had to flatten this part here for the handle, but basically the same workflow I did before with the subsurf modifier. Seems to work really well here, and again trying to keep it low poly if I can. So trying to inset this a little bit in the middle, but I do realize I don't want it to be probably as sharp as the other one because my experience with jugs in real life, they tend not to be so angular. So I want it to feel kind of like it's like flowing, like it's like a bottle. So here we go again with the mirror modifier. Obviously you have to clean up the edge loops in the point of symmetry. Here I start flattening this profile to get the handle in there. So again, we have it mirrored, so it's on same on both sides, so we do get kind of this flat part where the handles are going to go. I do have to do some stuff to the mesh to give me some topology to work with so that I can get this handle. I think this handle was probably the hardest part about this one, and yeah, I had to do some like manual, like connect these vertices to this. There wasn't like an easy way to just make a handle here. I suppose I could have done something with a Boolean modifier, but I think that probably would have resulted in more vertices than I would have wanted. So I think this was the right way to go. Though I don't realize it here right now, but I do end up actually creating some like normal artifacts, normal being like normal as a normal map. Like you can kind of see on the edge there's like on the back by the handle there's some like jagged parts, and I don't really realize that as I'm looking at it here, but we do end up like fixing this later. But again, just trying to get as much of the basic thing out there, and that's really the thing about doing models like this is you want to get something mostly in place and then start iterating on it based on feedback. So here we are in Substance Painter. We're working on obviously the big jug. The great thing about Painter is that I can actually basically export the same texture I do for this one onto the small jug. So any of the work I do on this is basically I get for free on the small jug. And the other nice thing, especially when it comes to the iteration we've had to do, because again there was a lot of back and forth on these models, just to get it just the way that we wanted it. What's really nice about Substance is that I can change the model, bring it back in, and Substance is pretty smart about preserving like any strokes on the mesh and things like that. So I definitely recommend, if you're serious about doing any kind of modeling like this, I would definitely get Substance because it's clearly the it's clearly the best. I don't know of any program that can do the kind of the stuff it does. Another thing that I think you might have noticed is and something I wasn't paying very much attention to because I was just trying to get a basic texture on here, but Something I've been doing a lot more lately is trying to pay a lot more attention to the baking that I do. So the ambient occlusion didn't look very good. There was like rendering artifacts, and that has some to do with my topology, but there's other reasons for that that I had to like come back and clean up later. So here I'm just trying to make like the basic textures so that we can get these in game. We can see how they look. We can make sure that they, the scale's all right. Make sure all those details are right, and then we can start refining the texture to like the way that we want it. So yeah, here I'm trying to work procedurally here, but I could have probably just mask this off and just throw down just fill that area with a color, I guess. But I do like trying to work procedurally as much as I can. And yeah, so I'm kind of trying to make some kind of like almost jagged edge for this. Not really jagged, but like feel like it's torn paper. So we do a little bit of that. I do add looks like a slope blur here. Just a slight one to give kind of a little bit of like chip, kind of like the paper's not completely straight, so yeah, and then I save this off, and I think I'm trying to get the so I open up GIMP to basically just rebuild the logo here. The logo just being a leaf with an X on it, I guess. Yeah, I don't know if a logo for Weed Killer needs to be any fancier than this. I mean, I think it sells the idea pretty well. So yeah, I'm just like copying the shape of the leaf, and I think I actually try. No, never mind. I want to start like using Inkscape more because I think that using vector graphics with Substance is probably a good idea. Because it definitely does support it, but in this case, obviously, I'm using just straight up raster graphics, which works fine in this case because this texture is not super high resolution. So here again, putting these like decals on here, I guess if you want to call them that, or decals, however you want to pronounce it. It's not as like straightforward as I wish that it was in Substance. I wish this was easier because it seems like I do a lot of work to get this like just on the place that I want it to. Though I guess the way in which I was doing this is I was creating a black mask, and then like the logo is actually just a black and white mask that is like the area, and then I can change the color or tweak the colors later, which actually I do end up doing. So it's a good idea to do it that way, but it does seem kind of, I don't know, inefficient to do it that way. Here I think I'm messing with different brushes. I did have this like square brush that I was using, but I think that I think at the time I did not actually have my brush pack that I've created over time. So here I'm just kind of using these square brushes, but in the final version, unfortunately I don't have any footage of it. The final version we did come back with a lot of more TF2-esque brushes and really like cleaned up the texture. And Blaholtson actually came through as well, and so I built this texture, and then he added onto it and made some changes, and all of them were great, by the way. Like he did awesome work. Shout out to him on that one. So that's just basically it, and then it's just lots of iteration here, and I think the lid we changed color on, and we added some drippings, some more like a warning label on there, just these little details that make it feel more like a real object, I guess. And then of course I can just export this texture and bring it onto the small jug, so basically they get the same treatment. So there's really no differences. The lid's the same color, the label, all that, the base jug. So that's about it. And so here's what it looks like in the game. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one.